Alright, I'm not gonna lie, Akuma might be my favorite new weapon. Yes, it's actually pretty much behaving like a full-blown weapon. We have the full kits of attacks. I think that there are some potentially really strong moves in here as well. So, of course, we're gonna check out all of the new stuff that's been added with update 1.11. Without further ado, let's jump right in. And the moment you go into the new update, you're going to notice that you have a bunch of brand new quests. And the main one is going to be right here in the oil well basin. You're going to have to go ahead and talk to Quinn to begin the mission called Ultimate Strength, which is what's going to unlock, of course, all of the Akuma skins and your encounter with him. And in this case, you're going to have to follow an investigation both in the upper and the lower version of the oil well basin. So I'm going to show you exactly where you need to go to find all of the carcasses. In the meantime, if you want to find and speak to the two NPCs over here, the first one is going to be right ahead from Quinn, going in and talking to this guy over here, and then the second one will be further down towards the forge area, and you're going to find the NPC very close here to the end of the bridge. But in terms of actually finding the carcasses, here's what you need to do. First of all, your first version, which is a fallen Gypsyros, will be right here in area 11. Just heading over there from camp number 9 if you want to. You're going to reach this cave, and if you pay attention here to your left, you should see the fallen carcass. For the other one, you're going to find it right here in area 5. So going from the forge in area 4, you can just take these vines upwards, and that's how you reach area 5. And you should see it second of all here to your left side, a fallen Rathian, which is actually really interesting. But once you're done with that, what you need to do is head over back at the camp and talk to Maki this time around, who's going to tell you about this very interesting and peculiar character who you're going to find here on this side of the map. Akuma will actually be between area number 16 and 18. There's this smaller sort of entrance over here that you can take, and he's going to be pretty much all the way at the end. Talking to him, he's going to now open this arena challenge right here from Akuma. And once you're done with this, you can now go to the Arena Challenge Master and take up Demonic Strength. This is going to be one of the two new Arena Challenges added for you. It doesn't matter which weapons you grab over here, because I highly encourage you to actually use Akuma's assist combos, which are way stronger. We're going to break down all of them in just a little bit, but all you have to do is just defeat this boss over here, and then you can go ahead and speak to Akuma once again. Once you're done with that, you're now going to unlock a second, much tougher arena challenge, but it's pretty much against the same boss. Both of these options will give you those Street Fighter 6 tokens. So let's talk about the new armor as well as all of the cool new goodies that you get from it. You can even see it right here, and in this case you actually get 2 items from the Street Fighter 6. This includes, of course, the armor set itself, which is not too shabby. In this case, you get a few levels of Part Breaker, which I'm not sure exactly if it's been fixed or buffed in the new update. You also get level 3 Heroics, level 3 into Evade Window, but most important, you are going to get the 3 set bonus called Master of the Fist. So this increases the power of special actions. Drive impacts can trigger offset attacks, further increasing power of offset attacks. So we're gonna check that in just a little bit. In the meantime, the second item that unlocks is the Mighty Charm 3. You're going to need 3 Street Fighter 6 tickets to actually craft this, but it's going to give you maximum might, pretty much level 3. So you're going to have it maxed out in this new update. But let's go over the new attacks, because I'm absolutely in love with these. You can even use the quick menu over here to use the assisted combos, as that's going to be more than enough to pull this off. It's actually very easy. The only thing you have to select or have selected over here is the first assisted combo called Akuma. This is what's going to begin all of the other assisted combos, including the triangle and the circle one as well. So the first is your X default combo. This is what's bringing you to the Go Hadouken, the heavy version actually, which deals some very good damage from quite far away. So a very good option to start the other combos with. Then we have the triangle or Y option, which is essentially the closest range version of all. Pretty much a series of fists that also cause damage explosions on the last one, the Adamant Flame. So it can be actually pretty decent at also staggering the bosses. But my favorite is, of course, course, the circle slash B, which is going to bring you to this, well, kind of like kick spin that is also acting like a gap closer. It's one of my favorites because it's so easy to get close to bosses or even move your character out of harm's way. Plus, it has, again, some very heavy stagger baked into it, which makes it really strong. And the thing about both of the circle and the triangle versions is that they have quite a bit of hyper armor included in them. So as long as you're not being hit by an overwhelming blow, you can actually tank, face tank in this case, and just push through most of the regular attacks. So pretty nice to not get interrupted. Another cool aspect about these combos is that you can follow triangle with circle or circle with triangle combo as both chain into one another very easily. So for example, it can be really good to bypass some of these attacks and get a bit of hyper armor through all of that. But besides this, we also have the drive impact, which is essentially another ability. As you perform attacks and fill the impact gauge over here, you're going to now have access to a new ability, which is the drive impact. Now, you don't have to actually select it manually from the quick selection screen. You can actually pull it off by just using LT plus RB. So basically L2 plus R1, like you can do in all other quick actions, which is going to instantly cast it, assuming that your drive gauge is actually filled. But here is the kicker. If you actually have the 3-set bonus, you can actually use that drive kick over here to essentially use it as an offset attack. There is a small wind up on it, so if you're going to cast it against an attack, make sure you preemptively do it about a split second before that, which is going to cause you to perform an offset attack. However, it's going to be even stronger if you use it against enemy weak points or wounds. In this case, you're going to get a secondary, much bigger version called Onigoroshi. And in this case, what you're going to do is pretty much this absolute insane series of blows that absolutely destroy the target. As you can see, it's more than capable even of completely staggering it altogether, which is what makes it absolutely devastating, especially in the new arena challenges. No joke, this is what makes this the 50th weapon of Monster Hunter Wilds. Unofficially, of course, but I am in love with this, how well it works and how satisfying it feels. Now, besides that, you do have a couple of other attacks that we should pay attention to. One is going to be the Go Hadoken over here that you can actually equip as a slinger ammo. So if you activate this, you can now pretty much use the slinger shot to basically just cast a lower version of the Go Hadoken from far away. So the heavier version was dealing 125 damage in this case. This one is only 25, but you can cast it much quicker and from further away without worrying. Now, technically, we kind of have one more move besides this, or well, a couple more moves. One is the ability to basically have a perfect dodge that seems very similar to the one that you get from the dual blade. So in this case, as you can see, I'm pulling it off over here pretty much back to back. So very useful, especially if an enemy is about to attack you. That is why that dodge window may come in very handy with a build around this. And in the case of the regular version, you can also use another one, pressing A whenever you follow up with an attack. So if you perform any attack, you can then press A quickly and instead perform this sort of fade over here that you can see me pulling off against the boss. It also seems to feature some kind of iframes over here as well, at least a little bit more than the typical dodge roll that we have. So in this case, very useful to reposition or, for example, break a combo in case you don't want to commit to an animation. Also, quick to note is that some of the gem slots over here are actually very good. We have a lot of tier 2 and tier 3 gem slots, which means you can easily put like maximum might, counter strike, even a chain for that burst. And since we got a bit of hyper armor during some of our combo attacks, this means we can take advantage a bit of the counter strike over there as well. Now, there are a couple more things added with the new update, one of which is the creature display. You can access it by talking right here to Ferdinand back over at the main camp in the Windward Plains. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a bit disappointed by this, mainly because you're just looking at a screen preview of some of the creatures that you've captured, as well as the fish. So it's not like the version in Monster Hunter World, which would have actually been much better. I really hope that in the future we actually get a proper physical place in one of our bases, since we have so many of them, that actually lets us see that in real time. Unless I'm missing something, I think that this could have been handled maybe a little bit better. Also, in terms of the weapon changes, specifically for Hammer right now, I still have some testing to do, of course, but some folks already got a bunch of numbers out, and they actually look very promising. We're looking at increases in damage anywhere between 11 to 100% for some of our attacks. Some of them have a bit lower than that, like the Big Bang, which was already pretty great, only gets about 5 to 10 to 12%, depending on which version in the chain you have. But overall, I'm looking at some of these numbers posted by Next28 on Reddit that look highly impressive. Even the Mighty Charge got a 30% damage increase on the first level, which is really good. Doing a bit of testing myself compared to some of the older footage that I had, it definitely seems that I'm pulling off a little bit extra damage over there. I believe that my Mighty Charges were like 400 and a bit, and now they are closer to 500-600, so much better than before. But of course, more testing will follow soon. Besides this, we also have to talk about the 8-star new hunts. And on a note about that, has anybody else noticed that we literally have fewer hunts than before the patch? I'm literally seeing maps now that literally have absolutely no hunts at all, which is very strange. It seems that we pretty much drove everything to extinction, but if you go ahead and rest a little bit, you should see quite a few popping. I've tested some of the new 8-star encounters, and from the looks of it, it seems that we're getting a slight bump in terms of the number of high-ranking encounters we get, which means it's much easier to farm some of these ancient gems, as well as also those Artian weapon parts, which we're gonna need for the layered weapons in update 2. But besides that, one thing to note is that these encounters were not actually as difficult as I imagined, even though they are 8-star and they feel a bit longer than before. I do have to say that yeah, I kind of got a bit rusty playing other games in the past couple of months, but even so, I was expecting a bit more challenge. I'm not gonna lie, I do like the way that they've increased the difficulty over here. Mostly we're seeing just attacks being spammed a bit quicker and a little bit more often on some of these bosses, and of course higher, I imagine, amounts of HP, and like they said in the patch notes, also some extra resistances. But otherwise, your builds, if they were top-notch before, they will absolutely wreck these bosses here too. So on a similar note, if you're planning to actually farm these for the Artian weapon parts, or just looking to get more gems to funnel back at the cauldron, what you can do is just use the exploiter meal, as that's going to give you more rewards from exploiting those wounds. And also, one thing that I noticed on a final note is that when you craft an armor, now you can actually craft the full set over there. At least that was the case with the Akuma armor. I was able to just craft it in one single hit, as long as I had all of the resources. So this is a nice quality of life change, I would say. But of course, if there's anything else that you discovered in the new patch that I haven't covered in this video, totally let me know down below in the comments. In the meantime, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.